This is Ringler Radio, where you get all the latest news and information about structured settlements from Ringler Associates, the first name in structured settlements, helping injured people and their families since 1975. Ringler Radio is made possible in part by Allstate, American General, John Hancock, Liberty Mutual, MetLife, Mutual of Omaha, New York Life, Pacific Life, and Prudential. Now join Ringler Radio host Larry Cohen.
Well, hello and welcome to Ringler Radio, everyone. I'm Larry Cohen, head of Ringler Associates Northeast Operations, and we're certainly glad you could join us again today. Well, we're coming to you from a 2013 Ringler annual meeting in sunny Newport Beach, California, and boy, that's a nice respite from some of the snow I'm getting back in Boston. You know, the SMART Act, which is short for Strengthening Medicare and Repaying Taxpayers Act, so that SMART Act was passed by Congress in December, recently signed into law by President Obama. And today on Ringler Radio, we're going to take an in-depth look at the SMART Act. And since it's so new, this is going to be great information for all of you out there in the audience. But first, let me introduce and welcome my Ringler colleague, Teddy Snyder, who's going to join me today as my co-host. Teddy is a certified structured settlement consultant and a settlement specialist in Beverly Hills, California. She's also been an attorney for 30 years. She specializes in creating settlements which protect ongoing access to public benefits, including Medicare. And she's very familiar with the SMART Act. She's great to have as a co-host on this show. Welcome to the show, Teddy.
Thanks, Larry.
And here to tell us more about the SMART Act is attorney Aaron Frederickson of St. Paul, Minnesota. Aaron is director of Medicare Secondary Payer Compliance with ALSUP, which is headquartered in Belleville, Illinois. Aaron handles all aspects of workers' compensation litigation and especially subrogation issues arising from workers' compensation claims. So, Aaron, welcome to Ringler Radio.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Terrific. Well, Congress recently passed what has come to be known as the SMART Act. Aaron, what was the problem that the law sought to resolve? Teddy, you can also comment on that.
Well, the big issue was Medicare was getting in the way of efficient settlement of claims. If Medicare has paid for care, they have a right of recovery. It's a federal law. The duty to repay Medicare is known as Medicare reimbursement liability. And figuring out how to do that, how to accurately repay Medicare, was just getting in the way of settling cases. You couldn't optimize your negotiations if you didn't really know at the end of the day what the claimant was going to end up with. It delayed finalizing settlement, and I've heard of some situations where the settlement actually blew up.
Aaron, what do you think about that?
Well said, Teddy. The new act provides the creation for a website where Medicare enrollees can get information to allow them to determine what Medicare will actually get. They can also get that information within a 120-day period prior to anticipated settlement. Insurance carriers can now also report an anticipated settlement to Medicare, whereas before they had to wait until settlement had actually taken place.
Okay, that 120-day thing kind of bothers me. What happens if you think you're going to settle, like at a mediation, within the next 120 days, and then the case doesn't settle, sometimes for a year?
Yeah, well, that was certainly one of the issues with the initial drafting of the act in H.R. 1063. It allowed for parties to only make a request once prior to settlement. However, things were changed in the final enactment of the bill, which was in H.R. 1845, and now it could be determined later on, but there are an unlimited number of times where parties could make a request for a final conditional payment letter.
Terrific. Well, let me address this to both of you. What other problems does the new law address? I'm sure there are quite a few issues that they've tried to deal with.
When Medicare makes a payment, it's conditional and is allowed to get reimbursed from the primary payer, such with a casualty or health insurance company would. No one was really sure what the statute of limitations was. As people are probably aware with the recent U.S. v. Stricker case, there was some ambiguity still on what the conditional payments were. Now, under the existing SMART Act, there is a 3-year statute of limitations that's been codified into law, which should give parties more direction.
That's good.
Don't forget, there's really two kinds of Medicare secondary liability. We've been talking about reimbursement liability, but there's also reporting liability. Insurance carriers are required to report to Medicare when they are responsible for claim-related Medicare-eligible expenses. So in a workers' compensation case, this happens right at the beginning when the carrier is first responsible for ongoing medical expense. And it also happens at the conclusion of a case when it's bought out, and that's in both workers' comp and liability. The penalty for the carrier or the self-insured to make that report is really onerous.
Correct. Yeah. The new law allows for CMS discretion on how that $1,000 per day per claim penalty is issued. Previously, there was no discretion on the part of the agency, but now there is some discretion to examine issues of culpability when parties are trying to act in good faith but don't get things right exactly.
Another provision of the new law goes along with this new kind of friendlier approach, more reasonable approach, and that's in dealing with Social Security numbers. We've really seen an evolution at CMS in their approach. Previously, they have these town hall conference calls. They happen every about 8 weeks or so. And in the past, if you go back and you read the transcripts of what happened in those calls, you'll see that the CMS staff was pretty darn adamant that the claimant had to provide the Social Security number. If you're a Social Security enrollee, you're taking advantage of the benefits of the program, you better get with the program and give us your Social Security number. And this led to a lot of headbutting and litigation where claimant's attorney said, nah, you're not going to get that. So the new law requires the Medicare program to develop an alternative identification number system for submission of those quarterly reports I mentioned. And that's going to use an ID other than a person's Social Security or Medicare ID number.
You're right, Teddy. I've known a lot of claim people who have had real problems trying to get people to disclose their Social Security numbers. I mean, because as you know, there's a lot of theft of identities and all that. So I think it's very important and very appropriate that they've come up with a new way to submit with a new identifying number. That's a very good rule. What do you think?
Well, I would certainly agree, too. Having practiced law in the area of workers' compensation and personal injury, it's kind of a tale of two cities, so to speak. Workers' compensation, I have not necessarily seen a lot of issues as far as the disclosure of Social Security numbers because it's typically on a claim petition or originating document. But certainly in the area of non-workers' compensation cases, it has created a lot of contention among opposing counsel.
Well, we're going to take a quick break right now, and we'll be right back with some more with attorney Aaron Frederickson and Teddy Snyder right after this quick break. We'll be right back.
This is Ringler Radio from Ringler Associates, the leader in the structured settlements profession nationwide. Did you know that Ringler is involved in a third of all structured settlement cases in the country? Ringler Associates works with all the parties in a lawsuit settlement to find the best possible financial solution for the people involved. There's a Ringler Associate in all the major cities of the U.S. No one has more experience than a Ringler Associate. Check out our new website at www.ringlerassociates.com for the best information for claimants, legal professionals, and claims personnel, and to find the Ringler Associate nearest you. When it's your interest at stake in a lawsuit settlement, you want only the best financial plan. You can count on Ringler Associates to structure a customized plan that meets the needs of you and your family for the future. Visit ringlerassociates.com to learn more.
Well, welcome back to Ringler Radio. Glad you could join us. I'm joined by my Ringler colleague, Teddy Snyder from Beverly Hills, California, and attorney Aaron Frederickson from St. Paul, Minnesota. Aaron and Teddy, this year President Obama signed the SMART Act into law. Let's talk more about the impact and when does it officially go into effect? Is the law in effect now?
Well, sort of. The law gives the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services 9 months to come up with regulations to implement various portions of the law. As is the case, sometimes the devil is in the details. But there can be a lot of twists and turns that will take place over the next couple months until the final rules are formulated.
One of the things that we saw when the reporting liability first came into effect was that CMS really couldn't get their technology act together. And so now we have another law which is requiring CMS and Health and Human Services to put together a website for people to use. And so we've kind of been down this road before. I wouldn't expect that to happen really rapidly. Aaron, we heard about the SMART Act. It seemed like for years, every Congress it was introduced, it always died in committee, and then boom, last week of the year, 2012, suddenly both houses of Congress get together, and what do they say? Bada bang, bada boom. It was passed. What the heck happened?
Well, Teddy, I think that this is a great example of Congress getting together and actually getting something done. I have to give credit to a group called MARC, the Medicare Advocacy Recovery Coalition. They were able to get their game plan in place and get enough co-sponsors in the House of Representatives to have it passed under a suspension of the rules. It was then sent over to the U.S. Senate, and it passed by unanimous consent. If you take a look at the members of Congress and senators that were on board with the SMART Act, you had liberals, conservatives, Republicans, and Democrats. They all, I guess, came together, and it's just unfortunate that there aren't more issues that people could come together on.
Well, you're right about that. It was a real coalition, and you're right also, Teddy. It was like in the middle of the night, so that was very interesting that it could take place. Don't you wish a lot of other things could take place quickly like that? I mean, we've got a lot of problems out there, but no one seems to be able to sit down and solve them.
It wouldn't be America.
It wouldn't be America.
As Obama says, politics is messy.
Yeah, well, it is messy. Well, let me just, before we close the show here and all of the information that we've been receiving here on this great topic today by Aaron and Teddy, I just want to tell our audience that another great resource for information about the SMART Act, it can be found at one of our websites, ringlermedicaresolutions.com. And I'll encourage you to also seek that out, as well as getting in touch with Aaron, Frederickson. And Aaron, if someone wanted to get in touch with you to find out more about the SMART Act, how would they do that?
Sure. I'm certainly available via telephone. My phone number is 651-485-7036. You can also send me an email. My email address is a.frederickson, that's FREDERICKSON @allsupinc.com.
And Teddy, how would somebody get in hold of you?
Well, one good way to get a hold of me is through the RinglerAssociates.com website. You can also find me at TeddySnyder.com. You can call me at 888-734-3910 or send an email, tsnyder@ringlerassociates.com.
Well, I have a feeling with the SMART Act being so new, and as you know, everything around this Medicare area is confusing to a lot of people. So I think, Aaron, you're going to get a lot of information. You're going to get a lot of people seeking information from you, and Teddy, you might be getting a lot of calls as well. So get ready for that. And for all of you out there, I'd just say if you want any Ringler Associate, you can go to ringlerassociates.com, where you can find all the Ringler Associates addresses and emails. And you can also find all the Ringler Radio shows on ringlerassociates.com, ringlerradio.com, or legaltalknetwork.com. And Ringler Radio is also available through iTunes, where you can download it and stream it right to your earbuds as you walk in the park there in St. Paul. Aaron, you can hear this show as you're walking among those 10,000 lakes.
Sounds great.
Sounds great. Well, I'm glad you were on the show. This is a very important topic. Aaron, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
And Teddy, another great co-host. I appreciate your help.
Thanks for the opportunity.
And for the rest of you out there, go have a great day.
The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer. Thanks for listening to Ringler Radio. With over 1 million listeners, Ringler Associates, the first name in structured settlements. Visit ringlerassociates.com today.